Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Acha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vidam Sya Om Ajnanatimaranda Shagyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun Melidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supuragam Gurganarasisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Vedanepanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktiyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divya Bhagavat Prem Navibija Pradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandabaranam Balarka Chelan Shitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shivaram Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Sridharam Mansha Kalpataru Bhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Bhavenebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurata Vishay Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, with translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is the Madhya-lila, chapter 8, talks between the Lord and Ramananda Raya. I'll start with verse number 55. Prabhu Snan Kritya Koriyachana Vasya Ek Pritya Sangerai Milila Asya. After finishing his evening bath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down and waited for Ramananda Raya to come. Then Ramananda Raya, accompanied by one servant, came to meet him. So when Mahaprabhu first met Ramananda Raya was with many Brahmins, and he came on a palanquin, and those were all Vedic Brahmins. They were ritualistic Brahmins who were accompanying him. So they had a brief introduction and conversation, but then it was determined that Ramananda Raya and Mahaprabhu would meet again the following that evening. And that, and this here it says, after finishing his evening bath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down and waited for Ramananda Raya to come. Then Ramananda Raya, accompanied by one servant, came to meet him. Namaskara Koila Rai Prabhu Koila Alingane Duijane Krishna Kata Kaya Rahastane. Ramananda Raya approached Lord Sri Chaitanya and offered his respectful obeisances, and the Lord embraced him. Then they began to discuss Krishna in a secluded place. They began to discuss Krishna Katha. Prabhu Kohe Padashloka Sadhyaran Nirnoy Raya Kohe Swadharma Charane Vishnu Bhakti Hoy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Ramananda Raya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Ramananda Raya recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life. Ramananda replied, if one executes the prescribed duties of his social position, he awakens his original Krishna consciousness. And then Ramananda Raya continues, Varnashrama Chara Vata Purushena Parapuman Vishnu Aradyate Panta Nyanyatatosha Karanam. The The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashrama. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Lord. One must be situated in institution of the 4 Varnas and Ashramas. So this is concerning Varnashrama. Prabhu kohe ehobaya age koho ar raya kohe Krishna karma arpana sarva sadyasar. The Lord replied, Ehobaya, this is external. You had better tell me some other means. Ramananda Roy replied, to offer the results of one's activities to Krishna is the essence of all perfection. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad jahoshi dadasi yat tapashyasi konteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. Ramananda Roy continued, my dear son of Kunti, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, whenever austerities you perform, all the results of such activities should be offered to me, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord has said that the Varnashrama Dharma is not properly executed in the age of Kali. Therefore, he ordered Ramananda Roy to go further into the matter. Ramananda replied with this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, which instructs that while remaining in the system of Varnashram Dharma, one must offer the results of his activities to Lord Sri Krishna in loving service. Naturally, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking Ramananda Roy about the execution of devotional service. Ramananda Roy first enunciated the principle of Varnashram Dharma in consideration of materialistic people. However, this conception is not transcendental. As long as one is in the material world, he must follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma. But devotional service is transcendental. The system of Varnashram Dharma refers to the 3 modes of material nature. But transcendental devotional service is on the absolute platform. Prabhu kohe ehobaya age koho ar rai kohe sadharma tyaga e sadyasar. This is also external, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Please proceed and speak further on this matter. Ramananda Roy replied, to give up one's occupational duties in the Varnashram system is the essence of perfection. So first, there was an external consideration that people should engage in the Varnashram Dharma system. And then Mahaprabhu said that is external. And especially we can see in the age of Kali, society, people are not able to be within the Varnashram Dharma system. And besides, that is more according to Varna and Ashram material considerations. So then Ramananda Roy said to offer the results of one's activities to Krishna. But Mahaprabhu also considered that's still external. And he says, this is also external. Mahaprabhu said, please proceed and speak further on this matter. Ramananda Roy replied, to give up one's occupational duties in the Varnashram system is the essence of perfection. Prabhu kohe ehobaya age kohoar, raya kohe swadharma tyaga sadyasar. Agyayaivam gunadoshan mayadishtan apiswakan dharman santyaja yasarvan mambajet sacha sattamaha. Ramananda Roy continued, occupational duties are described in the religious scriptures. If one analyzes them, he can fully understand their qualities and faults and then give them up completely to render service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person is considered a first-class man. Then Ramananda Roy continues, citing from Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja ham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. As stated in Scripture, after giving up all kinds of religious and occupational duties, if you come to me, the Supreme Personality of God, and take shelter, I will give you protection from all of life's sinful reactions. Do not worry. So this indicates that one should surrender to Krishna and give up all other external considerations. Just surrender to him and engage in his service, and he will give you all accommodation, all protection. Prabhu kohe ehobayage koho ar, raya kohe jnana mishra bhakti sadyasar. After hearing Ramananda Roy speak in this way, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again rejected his statement and said, "Go ahead and say something more." Ramananda Roy then replied, "Devotional service mixed with empiric knowledge is the essence of perfection." So someone could say, well, we always hear about Sarvadharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja ham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. It's even written on the dome of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt. So why should Mahaprabhu say that that is external? Because there's also a consideration that how can you surrender to the Lord if you're not engaged in devotional service? The trouble with that kind of surrender is that one has no occupation, one has no engagement. So I've heard Srila Govindamara say that if one just tries to surrender to the Lord but one's not engaged, then one has no job. One has no responsibilities. So then after hearing Ramananda Roy speak in this way, Lord Ramananda Roy said, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, to engage in devotional service mixed with empiric knowledge is the essence of perfection. And here in the purport it says, devotional service mixed with non-Vedic speculative knowledge is certainly not pure devotional service. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in his Anubhashya preaches that self-realization following the execution of ritualistic ceremonies is in the neutral stage between liberation and conditioned life. It is a place beyond the material world in the river of Viraja where the three modes of material nature are subdued or neutralized in the manifest stage. However, the spiritual world is a place where there is no anxiety. The material world, known as Brahmanda, is a creation of the external energy. Between the two creations, the material creation and the spiritual creation, is a river known as Viraja, as well as a place known as Brahmaloka. Viraja Nadi and Brahmaloka are shelters for living entities disgusted with material life and inclined to impersonal existence by way of denying material variegatedness. Since these places are not situated in the Vaikuntha Lokas or the spiritual world, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proclaims them to be external. In the Brahmaloka and Viraja Nadi, one cannot conceive of the Vaikuntha Lokas. Brahmaloka and Viraja Nadi are also attained after difficult austerities. But in these realms there is no understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his transcendental loving service. Without such spiritual knowledge, simply detachment from material conditions is but another side of material existence. From the spiritual point of view, it is all external. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected this proposal, Ramananda Raya suggested that devotional service based on philosophy and logic is a more advanced position. He therefore quoted the following verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Brahmabhuta prashanatma na shochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. Ramananda Roy continued, according to the Bhagavad Gita, one who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So, we've heard commentaries that both exploitation, or we can say karma, being a material engagement, and also gyan, or renunciation of activities, they're both negative impulses, because renunciation doesn't imply any positive activity. So just enjoying or the rejecting enjoyment, they're not, neither one of them is positive. They're both considered negative energies. What is positive is a mood of dedication, of giving oneself. So, but now so that was the consideration of, and Srila Rupa Goswami, he says, Anyabhilashita shunyam jnanakarmadi yanavritam anukuyena Krishna nushilanam bhaktir uttama. He says that material knowledge should be left outside of devotional service. Even gyan is negative. And that anukuyena Krishna nushilanam, the attitude of the devotee should be to render service which is desired by Krishna, which is favorable. And he says, Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmani yanavritam. You should leave karma and gyan far away. Well, then Ramananda Roy says, Brahma bhuta prashanatma na shochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. Ramananda Roy continued, according to the Bhagavad Gita, one who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. In this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that a person who accepts the theory of monism, being always engaged in empiric philosophical discussions about spiritual life, becomes joyful and is relieved from all material lamentation and hankering. At that stage, one is equipoised. He sees all living entities as spiritual beings. After attaining this elevated stage, one can attain pure devotional service. The conclusion is that devotional service mixed with ritualistic fruitive activity is inferior to spiritual service based on empiric philosophic discussion. But still, we understand there's Shanta Ras, there's Dasha Ras, there's Sakya Ras, there's Vatsalya Ras, and then there's Madhurya Ras. So in Shanta Ras, there may be detachment from material activities, but still there is not an active service relationship established. So really we say that Shantaras, there are some persons situated on Shantaras, but that, what is considered really the beginning stage of devotional service in terms of rasas or in terms of relations with the Lord, it begins with dasha, with service. Anyway, when Ramananda Roy said, according to the Bhagavad Gita, one who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that stage, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Prabhu kohe ehobaya, age koho ar, raya kohe jnana shunya bhakti sajyasar. After hearing this, the Lord, as usual, rejected it, considering it to be external devotional service. He again asked Ramananda Roy to speak further, and Ramananda Roy replied, "Pure devotional service without any touch of speculative knowledge is the essence of perfection." In his Anubhashya commentary, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur says that this stage, devotional service mixed with speculative knowledge, is also external and not within the jurisdiction of pure devotional service, as practiced in Vaikuntha Loka. As soon as there is some conception of materialistic thought, be it positive or negative, a service is not spiritual. It may be free from material contamination, but because there is no mental speculation, because there is mental speculation, the devotional service is not pure, and to be completely pure must be above this material conception. The negation of material existence does not necessarily mean spiritual existence. After material existence is negated, spiritual existence, namely Satchidananda, still may not be manifested. So just to stop with material existence, that doesn't mean that one is in spiritual existence, just to negate material existence. Until one comes to the stage of actually understanding one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, he cannot enter into spiritual life. Spiritual life means becoming detached from material life and engaging in the loving service of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore asked Ramananda Roy to explain something transcendental to devotional service mixed with speculative knowledge. A pure devotee is completely surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, and only by his love does he conquer Krishna, who cannot be conquered by anyone. Krishna always stands victorious over everything. No one can conquer him. One can attain the stage of pure devotion simply by fully surrendering. This is next corroborated by Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Lord Brahma, defeated by the potency of Sri Krishna, fully surrender unto the Lord. So after hearing about devotional service mixed with jnana and material knowledge, Mahaprabhu rejected it, considering it to be external devotional service. He again asked Ramananda Roy to speak further, and Ramananda Roy replied, "Pure devotional service without any tinge, without any touch of speculative knowledge is the essence of perfection." And this is jnana shunya bhakti, without any touch of material knowledge. And then Ramananda Roy quotes this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Jnane prayasamuda pasyanamanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stani stita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir ye prayaso jita pi asitaistrilokyam Jnane prayasa mudapashyanamanteva Shivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam Stane stita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir Ye prayaso jita jitobi asitaistrilokyam. Ramananda Roy continued, Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord, those devotees who have thrown away the impersonal conception of the absolute truth and have therefore abandoned discussing empiric philosophical truths should hear from self-realized devotees about your holy name, form, pastimes, and qualities. They should completely follow the principles of devotional service and remain free from illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and animal slaughter, surrendering themselves fully with body, words, and mind. They can live in any ashram or social status. Indeed, you are conquered by such persons, although you are always unconquerable. Prabhu kohe eho hoy, age kohoar, raya kohe prema bhakti, sarva sadyasar. So previously, Mahaprabhu had said, Eho Bayage Kohoar. This is external. But now, when Ramananda Roy mentions Jnana Shunya Bhakti, Bhakti without any tinge or any trace of materialistic knowledge, free from karma and gyan, then Mahaprabhu says, Eho Hoy Age Kohar. This is okay. He doesn't say this is external. He says, this is the beginning. This is acceptable. But now you can go on and speak something more. At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, this is all right, but still you can speak more on the subject. Ramananda Roy then continued, ecstatic love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the essence of all perfection. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami summarizes the conversation up to this point, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to Ramananda Roy, Eho hoy age kohoar. This is the process accepted in devotional service, but there is something more than this. Therefore, please explain what is beyond. Simply executing the duties of all varnas and ashramas is not as good as offering all the results of one's activities to the Lord. When one gives up all fruitive activity and fully surrenders to the Lord, he attains Swadharma Tyaga, wherein he abandons a social order and takes to the renounced order. That is certainly better. However, better than the renounced order is cultivation of knowledge mixed with devotional service. Yet all these activities are external to the activities of the spiritual world. There is no touch of pure devotional service in them. Pure devotional service cannot be attained by empiric philosophy, nor can perfection be attained simply by good association. Devotional service by self-realization is a different subject matter. It is untouched by the fruitive activity, for one surrenders the results of activities to the Lord, abandons prescribed duties, and accepts the renounced order of life. Such devotional service is situated on a higher platform than that of empiric philosophical speculation with a mixture of bhakti. This is verified by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi yanavritam anukuyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Devotional service, however, devotional activities, however, sometimes appear to be impure in the neophyte stage, but in the mature stage, they are completely pure or free from material activity. Therefore, Ramananda Roy replied, after hearing the last statement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prema Bhakti Sarva Sadyasar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually accepted this verse. Jnane Prayasam is the basic principle of perfection. So, beginning point of perfection. One has to practice this principle in order to make further progress. When further progress is actually made, one comes to the platform of ecstatic loving service to the Lord. The first stage is technically called sadhana bhakti, or devotional service and practice. A result of sadhana bhakti must be ecstatic love, attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is also called prema bhakti. In the neophyte stage, sadhana bhakti includes faith, association with devotees, and practicing devotional service. Thus one is freed from all unwanted things. One then becomes fixed in devotional service and increases his desire to act in devotional service. Thus one becomes attached to the Lord and his devotional service. Nanopachara krita pujanam artabando premnaiva bhakta hridayam sukha vidrutam shat yavat shud asti jatare jarata pipasa tavat sukaya bhavato nanu bhakshapeye. Ramananda Roy continued, as long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee. Ramananda Roy continued, as long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatraloyam Abhimuyam Ekalam Jnana Janmakoti Sukritarna Labhyate. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatraloyam api muyam ekalam janmakoti sukritarna labhyate. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed, to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. So this devotional service is not attained mechanically, but one has to have, like hunger and thirst. As long as there's hunger and thirst, then one becomes satisfied by eating or drinking. So one has to have that hunger for devotional service. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity. It's not a question of pious activity. Sukriti, what is that? Is different than punya. Punya and sukriti are different. Punya is pious activity. But Sukriti is spiritual activity, so they're not on the same platform. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity on hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. It doesn't matter what the price is, one must get it. You have to have a strong desire. If you have that strong desire, you'll pay any price for this. Prabhu kohe hohoi age koho ar, raya kohe dasya prema sarva sadyasar. Hearing up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, "This is all right, but if you know more, please tell me." In reply, Ramananda Raya said, "Spontaneous loving service in servitude, as exchanged by master and servant, is the highest perfection." So it mentioned that beyond Shantaras, the real devotional service begins with Dasharas, with service, and all the successive relations with the Lord, in Dasharas, in Sakyaras, in Vatsalyaras, in Madhuryaras, they all have the element of service. It's just like, anyway, I'll speak about that tomorrow when we talk about the how this is compared to the development of the different qualities of ether, air, fire, water, and earth. In ether there is sound, and in fire there is sound and form. In water there's sound, form, and taste. And earth there's sound, form, taste, and smell. So first there's ether, sound. Then in air there's, pardon me. Yeah, no, I think air comes first. First ether, sound, and then air comes sound and no. Speculating. First comes sound in ether, then air comes sound and touch. It comes sound and touch. And then in water comes sound and touch and taste. But no, first comes ether, sound. Then comes air, sound and touch. Then comes fire, sound, touch, and form. Then comes water, sound, touch, form, and taste. And then comes earth, which is sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. So hearing up to the point of spontaneous love. So then here we'll be hearing about Dasharas, which has the element of service. Then just as we mentioned the material elements, the next element after ether has the quality of the preceding element. Ether has sound, but the next air has sound and touch. So sound remains there then. Sound in all the material elements. So in the devotional qualities of Sakya, of Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, there's always going to be service. Service is a quality in all relationships. But then we'll hear in Sakya, in Sakya Ras, after Dasha Ras, in Sakya Ras there is two forms of Sakya Ras. One is one is with awe and respect. That's maybe the friendship in Vaikuntha, awe and respect, and then the next level of Sakya Rasa is without respect, a friendship, intimate friendship, and that's more in Vrindavan. But tomorrow I'll talk about that. Prabhu kohe eho hoy age koho raya kohe dasya prema sarva sadyasar. Hearing up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, this is all right, but if you know more, please tell me a reply. Ramananda Roy said, spontaneous service, loving service and servitude in Dasharas, as exchanged by master and servant, is the highest perfection. So I'll continue from this point tomorrow. I'll stop here, because I have another program. So now we'll sing Hari Harai. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Jaravaya Maravaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Srimati Sudan Giridhari Gopinatha Maranama Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Aditya Chandra Garadana Shiva Sari Gora Bhaktivedanta Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna Ekai Gosai Kori Janana Vanya Jai Vidyana Shami Stapuran Ekai Gosai Dhar Muri Tarana Asama Paravinu Mora Banshaga Kavya Charana Sevi Bhakta Saniman Janame more amila Ekai Gosai Jabe Bhaje Kolaman Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Pratan Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Madhya-lila Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriya Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narakamuna Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Jo Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Tilak Neri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Shiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premasiko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Shri Vishwavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai. Nanda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ramayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Koladvip Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Odan Shasti Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Odan Shasti Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.